My name is Grace Meadows, and I'm the Program Manager for the Arts Program in South Africa, and I'm presently coming to you from Johannesburg. It is such a pleasure to welcome you all to what is now the official launch of a combined platform where we get to share a bit about our program, we get to invite you all to engage with us, and we're really hoping that the session will be full of questions. Towards the end of it, we'll be asking some questions of you. You'll be able to ask some questions of us. I'm joined by our exciting team in Sub-Saharan Africa, and I can't wait to introduce you all to them. Please do know that the session will be recorded, and I'd also like to encourage you all to look at our opportunities page. So through that, you'll be able to read all of our frequently asked questions. I'm sure there'll be loads of answers there. Should you have any, we'll be taking them at the end as mentioned. And during the next hour or so, we're really going to be talking a little bit deeper about our program offering, as well as all of the very exciting opportunities coming your way for you and your partners. So without any further ado, I'd like to open the floor to Ojoma, who is our Regional SSA Arts Director, to open us up. Ojoma.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ojoma Ochai, as my colleague Grace has said. And I thought I'd just talk to you very briefly about the work we do, why we do it, and how it relates to this opportunity that the opportunities that we're talking to you about today. As many people on the call will know, the British Council is a cultural relations organization, which is just a way of saying our role is to facilitate connections, collaborations, and partnerships between people in the UK and in the different countries that we work on the continent of Africa, but elsewhere across the world. And we do this work in a number of sectors. We do this in education. We also do it in arts and culture. Our work in arts and culture is focused on three main areas, which we'll be talking about today. One is creative economy, which is focused on supporting livelihoods in the creative industries and around the whole creative economy. The second area is around cultural exchange, which is around really facilitating reciprocal research, facilitating artistic collaboration, and that my colleagues will be talking to you about today. And the third area is an area that we're calling Arts Responding to Shared Global Challenges, which is the aspect of our work that's looking at how arts and culture can play a role in topical issues like climate change, like heritage, but also specifically on this continent, we're really interested in arts and culture responding to the issue of stereotypes about the continent of Africa in the UK, but also stereotypes about the UK in Africa. And we're doing this through a strand of work that we're calling New Narratives. And New Narratives is really looking at two things. One is about how the work that we ourselves do, crowding in more perspectives and more diverse and plural perspectives about the continent, but also about the UK. And so the opportunities that we're going to be sharing today are responding to that ambition that we have, through which we're promoting these more plural narratives. Our work is also looking at how, through the different activities we do, we're commissioning, we're spotlighting, and we're highlighting the narratives that we ourselves are coming across in a programmatic way. And to start this piece of work, which hasn't actually launched, is launching fully in a few months, we've done a lot of research to look at what are the problems of narratives and what are young people saying, young people being our target audience, as you will hear in the course of the event. What are they saying about how these narratives affect the way that their lives are portrayed, affect the way that they see themselves, and how would they rather that they were portrayed? You'll get a link to that research on the website, which I'm sure is where you're probably seeing this. But I thought I'd just highlight some of the things that we found in the process of the research, which we conducted across multiple countries in Africa and across all the devolved nations of the UK. One of the things that came across in terms of narratives of African countries was that the narratives are shaped by quite a dynamic messenger landscape, in that young people themselves are taking more and more ownership of the narratives about themselves and really using social media and using different tools to challenge the stereotypes about Africa. Those stereotypes persist, stereotypes around poverty, around disease, around lack of agency, they persist. But what we found in the research is increasingly there are more dynamic messages about the continent of Africa. And that's something that we'd really like to see more of through the work that we do. Young people across the countries of Africa have said to us that we need to avoid latent or neo-colonial, in their words, tropes and motifs that represent African life. They want to see more contemporary representation of the continent. And so we're really keen to support artistic exchange. We're really keen to support scoping of this more contemporary, more diverse realities across the continent. Young people have also asked us to avoid exoticization or idealization of the African reality, which is obviously multiple realities. There isn't one reality. And so that's also something that we're really keen to promote through the work. It's just being able to show much more diverse realities of the continent. Another thing that we're really keen to promote that we found through the research was in terms of engagement with the UK. Lots of young people in the UK were saying to us they need a more dynamic messenger landscape from the UK. Because what the research was, a lot of the messaging from the UK is institutional. And so projects that we're looking to support through our arts program, we want to focus on the sort of more dynamic audiences and hearing what actual real people.
Hi, Ojomo. I'm wondering if it's just on my side, but it seems like we're having a bit of a technical glitch. I'm hoping everybody is still with us. And again, just a reminder that this recording will be up. I mean, talking of technical glitches, I hope that we were able to understand the breadth of what you were saying through our process with new narratives. And I think it might just be a connection glitch, but let's continue. And thank you very much for that introduction. I think so much work has gone in to see how are we able to relate to our creative sector. It has been, and we've been very mindful that it's been the most challenging 2 years that have gone by with COVID-related challenges, mobility-related challenges, and really how are we addressing ways where we can connect better, build those partnerships, and forge new landscapes, as well as new narratives. So thank you for that. For all of those who are having accessibility challenges, we do have auto captioning on. Sometimes there are little technical glitches in that, but we'll iron those out for the recording that we posted. So the team has been tirelessly working on seeing how we can consolidate and get so many various ideas and so much inputs that we've received throughout the countries in SSA and the UK to see how we can develop this platform to really outline all the offerings that are available for this year and throughout the year. And I look very forward to introducing those that are able to share more. If I can hand over to the team and really outline what the program offer is, as well as speak to some of these opportunities. Perhaps we can start with you, Eduardo, taking us through cultural exchange.
I see Ojoma is back on the line, so I don't know if you wanted to wrap up.
From where I stopped hearing you, you were sharing some valuable insights on kind of the big research areas that were coming out of the research. And you were talking about the terms of neocolonialism and interacting with the UK and SSA, and really talking about young people, which again is our focus. Perhaps you'd like to pick up there?
Yeah, thank you, Grace. So what I was saying in a nutshell is young people across Africa and the UK have said to us that we need to, in terms of the way that we engage with content and narratives about Africa and the countries of Africa, we need to move away from the tropes. We need to move away from the motifs and the stereotypes that are prevalent in the dominant narratives about the continent. And we need to avoid exoticization. We need to avoid idealization and association of the continent with vulnerability and fragility. And we need to be doing more to highlight the dynamism, to highlight the innovation, to highlight the brilliance that is the energy of young people. And in terms of how the UK is represented, young people were saying to us that we need to move away from the institutionalized engagement between the UK and the countries of Africa, and try and start to build the people-to-people connections that are more dynamic and are more contemporary. And in doing that, they said to us that we need to be presenting narratives through a more dynamic lens that are based on the realities of individual people and their lived experience, rather than what institutions are sort of mediating and curating. And so through our work, we're really keen to take that insights that we've got from the research into account. And so as people are applying for these various opportunities and looking to develop work with us, we really welcome them to look at the research in depth and see how their approach can respond to some of the things that have been raised by young people. We're really excited by the opportunity to work with new partners, existing partners, and we hope that we can find ways to really take on board what young people across both the countries of Africa and the UK have said to us in the last several months. Thank you all for listening. Back over to you, Grace.
I'm so happy we went back. Thank you, thank you, Ijoma, for talking to us a little bit more about new narratives. Again, I think it's that ethos and that spur and that thinking that is really underlying all of our programs and looking at our various threads that we work in and specific work areas. So there is, again, so much information, and again, a welcome to existing and new partnerships that can be forged. Crossing over to Eduardo to talk about cultural exchange and connecting those partners.
Thanks, Grace. Yeah, so we launched yesterday our cultural exchange open call, which is basically our way of saying this is our call for arts. And for me, it's been very exciting working on this project, because this is where we're able to connect the countries of Sub-Saharan Africa and the UK with a really exciting proposition. So we have created an open call that is available in 3 different categories. I'll get into more detail on the categories, but just at the kind of top line is who is this for? So this opportunity is really for artists, it's arts organizations, festivals, arts professionals, creative sector researchers. We wanted to make really sure that this opportunity is open to artists and creative people, and for applicants not to feel like they're getting lost or not seen. It's really through the different categories as open as possible. So, you know, if you're an artist, a visual artist, or a musician, or a writer, this open call is for you. And you should think carefully about how you could fit into the different categories to help improve your chance of getting one of these categories. So I will start with the kind of first category, which I think is one of the most exciting also. While it's a kind of a smaller grant, it would be a grant up to £5,000. It's for research. And while we say research, I don't want this to scare anyone away. We are not talking about academic research, although it could be, and that could be interesting. We are really looking at research in creative sectors. This could be an artist or an organization in the UK looking at a creative sector in the SSA that they find super interesting, or an artist or organization in SSA saying, oh, we're really interested to try and target this kind of sector in the UK. And the really nice thing about this size of grant is that it means you can be really experimental and really think about how to use this grant in a way that would be really useful for you as an artist or an organization to take that next step for further funding in the future. Maybe a particular note here is something we've noticed in our open calls or our funds at the British Council is often people try and apply for the funding at the largest level, so the biggest funds, and often the applications maybe are not really ready for that stage, and then they don't get selected. And that's exactly what the kind of purpose of this smaller grant is, the research one for up to 5,000, is it's really for you to get ready to take that next step. So we really think this is an exciting proposition to apply in. The next level is something we're calling new connections. So this is slightly larger. This is up to £10,000. And this category requires a partner or an organization or an artist from the UK and from the countries of Sub-Saharan Africa. So it must be a partnership between two organizations or an artist and an organization. And this is really where we're kind of asking people to create those new connections, to find a new way of making art with a partner that maybe you haven't had the chance to work with before, or that you've had conversations running, but you just haven't had the funding to be able to take this leap and try something new. Again, this is a kind of a smaller grant that will allow you to be really nimble and to try interesting things. At this level, the grant does require that there's at least a public facing activity. So it does also really focus on the production of art coming out of this connection. But again, this is quite a nimble and exciting opportunity. You'll also notice the kind of countries that this opportunity is available below. We'll kind of talk about why the particular countries the funding is available in for this opportunity a bit later. Then for the third grant, which is the largest and the large grant that we have, and that's 20 to 30,000 pounds, is called New Art Co-Creation. So while it could be similar to the smaller £10,000 grant, this opportunity also really does look at creating new connections between organizations, but its prime target is really also the creation of art. So it's really important that the outputs of this connection majorly premises new art being put out in the world. So, and again, this is must have a partner from the UK and from one of the countries in the UK, or a partner from one of the countries in SSA. And again, here we think this is a really exciting proposition. Just a note for people who are trying to apply is that this larger grant is likely for organizations or artists who have already a very developed idea or sense of what they want to do with the funding. If you're going to be a bit more experimental, apply for the smaller grants. You are 100% more likely to get that grant if your idea is really exciting and at a kind of initial stage. The larger grant, although it might be enticing to apply, and this is something we've gotten a lot, is that 80% of people only apply for the larger grants, which means that the competition for those larger grants are incredibly high because everyone is in that pocket. Whereas then the smaller grants end up getting very few applications, and the projects that are good get selected immediately. So maybe that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're approaching. Oh, I think I'm almost out of time. I wanted to just mention, really importantly, to look at the eligible countries, because we can only in this year, because of COVID and the kind of realignment we've had to do as an organization, the funding is available only in particular countries this year. So please make sure to look at the eligible countries. When you do the application form, you also will only be able to apply if you're applying from those countries. So please make sure to look at that before you start developing a project and getting too far down the line, because only those countries will be available to apply for the fund. And then in terms of some top line dates, is that all of the information is live on our website now. You will see a link inside the kind of comments area of the event, and it's also down here. Our actual application platform opens on the 2nd of August, so Monday, but we've already launched all the information that you need. So start speaking to your partners, start getting those ideas rolling now so that you can start thinking about your application. And then the deadline for application for new connections and new art co-creation is the 8th of September. So you'll have about a month and a half to think and finalize your project. And the research grant is a rolling application until the 1st of February. Don't leave your application till the 1st of February, because we'll be kind of giving out grants along the way, and only a very few will be available at the end. But do try and get it in when your idea is ready. So I think that's it from me, and I'm very excited to also hand over to our other opportunity, which is from the creative economy, and we have Rashida from our East Africa Arts team.
Thank you, Eduardo. Hello, everyone. My name is Rashida Nalumoso. I'm the Program Manager, Creative Economy, based in Kampala, Uganda. Our creative economy work is thematic and works across the core areas of creative enterprise, leadership, and policy. We work with young people 18 to 35 to accelerate and grow their enterprises, supporting livelihoods and better economic outcomes, access to market, business incubation, and mentoring for young people across Sub-Saharan Africa. Our 2021 funding round will support to grow the creative economies, working particularly in 8 core countries. So we have a call out that we're expecting to go live very shortly in the month of August, and an opportunity that we're calling for all cultural and creative organizations and institutions based in the UK and one of 8 sub-Saharan African countries, including Ethiopia, Sudan, Kenya, Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and South Africa. Organizations and cultural institutions will be invited to jointly work with us to develop content for our creative enterprise SSA arts work. I'll talk a little bit more about the eligibility and the organizations who we will be inviting to respond to our tender. And it will be very important for, we advise all of the organizations and individuals who are interested in working with us to read through carefully the application criteria once it goes live on our Intend British Council portal. And there is a current holding page up on our SSA microsite at the moment. So the partner can either be a creative hub, a creative professional who is an individual, or a creative education organization or institution. The ideal partner would be a collaborative team. We're keen to work with one partner based in SSA to develop the program with a partner from the UK across the eligible countries. You could either apply as a ready-made SSA UK partnership or as one side of a partnership. And then British Council will help support, broker the relationship to help you co-design and co-deliver the program. To speak a bit more about the eligibility for what we're looking for in the team who respond to our creative economy call out this financial year, it would be an emphasis on strong knowledge and capacity to manage medium to large scale programs with multiple stakeholders, experience in curating and producing creative economy programs for online and face-to-face delivery, a demonstrable knowledge of the creative economy sectors we work across in Africa, and a strong network of contacts. Due to time limitations, we're looking at the period for this financial year between September to March 2022. And the important dates are that we're going live within the month of August, and we expect the opportunity to be open for a minimum of 3 weeks in the month of August. I would emphasize again that the partnerships that we're looking for is a partner of one partner based in SSA or the UK who would be eligible, and we would help broker a partnership if you apply as one side also. So I think that's a summary of our creative economy work, but I would just emphasize that we're really keen to encourage a breadth of application. We recognize across our SSA arts work the vibrancy of the growing creative economy sectors that we work within. And if you look through the opportunities, you'll see that the country focuses have identified particular strengths within art forms across fashion, film, music in particular. And we welcome applications from individuals and consultants to support the creative economy work as per the individual country specifications. Thank you very much. And now I will pass over to my colleague, Sandra.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sandra Chege, and I'm the Interim Program Manager for the ACP EU Culture Program. So in 2020, the Secretariat of the Organization of the African, Caribbean, Pacific States, OACPS, released a call for proposals for organizations to deliver a grant award program for different regions across the ACP countries as part of ACP EU culture. So the British Council, in partnership with Hiva Fund, applied and were awarded the contract to deliver the East Africa program. So between August 2021 and April 2024, we will be awarding grants worth up to 4.5 million euros. And I'm excited to let you know that we officially launched yesterday. So the objectives of this project are to seek the support for the growth and development of cultural and creative industries in Eastern Africa by providing support for programs that will improve the environment in which cultural and creative practitioners are working, and also provide support for young people entering these sectors to grow their skills. We want to also make sure that we can provide support for improving visual literacy of audiences and access to new markets for these goods and services in East Africa. This facility will also work to improve the quality and quantity of creative goods and services across East Africa. There are 14 countries that are eligible to apply for this funding, and all projects must take place in one or more of the following countries: Burundi, the Comoros Islands, Djibouti, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, Madagascar, Mauritius, Rwanda, Seychelles, Somalia, Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. So eligible applicants must be established in one of these ACP countries since 2018. They must have directly implemented at least one project worth at least 50% of the grant amount requested. Eligible projects can apply for between 30,000 euros and 180,000 euros. And the applicant must also be responsible for implementing the project. So you would not be able to sub-grant under this grant facility. So it's really exciting that this fund will allow very many different value chains across the creative and cultural industries. Some are the cultural and natural heritage, performance and celebrations, festivals, books and press, visual arts, design and creative services, intangible cultural heritage, as well as cultural education. So in summary, the key points of note are: the program launched yesterday on the 28th of July. There will be an annual call for proposals, with the first one being on the 9th of August, so in the coming weeks. Grant allocations are a minimum of 30,000 euros with a maximum of 180,000. Applications will be in English, but all the information will be available in either Amharic, Arabic, Kiswahili, and French. All awarded grantees will be eligible for business support to make sure that you're able to deliver your program to the best of your ability. As has been mentioned by colleagues, there's information on the opportunities page, and there is also Twitter and Instagram handles if you're interested in learning more about this program and getting more information as the call goes live. On Instagram, it's ignite_culture_EA. On Twitter, ignite_EA. And Facebook with Ignite Culture EA. Thank you all for your attention. Over to you, Matt.
Thank you, Sandra. Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Beavers, and I'm in the British Council's Global Arts team based in the UK. Specifically, I'm in our literature department. So we work mainly with artists and organisations across the UK connected to writing and the written word and the spoken word. And so I think I'm just going to talk a bit about the UK perspective in terms of how to engage with our program in SSA. And I think one of the main opportunities for UK artists and creative organizations to get involved in our work in Sub-Saharan Africa is through the cultural exchange open call that Eduardo spoke about. The open call is open to artists and creative organizations in all parts of the UK as well as in Sub-Saharan Africa in the countries that have been mentioned. And its overall aim is to support artists, arts professionals, and organizations to develop new ways of working internationally, and to support cultural exchange between the UK and Sub-Saharan Africa. So if that sounds something like something that you're interested in, please do have a look at the open call and see which of the strands you might be interested in or eligible for. As Eduardo mentioned, there are 3 strands to that open call, and I thought I might just mention a few examples of projects, the kind of projects which have been supported in the past from a UK perspective. So under research, which is the smallest grants, activity here could include things like meeting with potential arts partners in Sub-Saharan Africa, finding out more about the arts scene or ecosystem in a particular country in the region, meeting with artists or attending virtual events or festivals. So they could all be sort of kinds of activity that would count as research. As an example here, we had a successful application a couple of years ago from a UK young adult and children's publisher who wanted to find out more about the young adult and children's publishing sector in Ghana and Sierra Leone, and so held meetings with writers, publishers, people from the sector in order to build more links between the publishing sector here in the UK and those in West Africa. Under New Connections, as Eduardo said, these are grants, smaller grants, which allow for more sort of experimental projects, projects where you might be establishing new connections, where you haven't worked with a partner before. And there we're particularly keen to see applications from individual artists or from organizations who may have never or done very little international work before. An example here of something we've supported recently of a sort of medium-sized project is a collaboration between Literature Works, which is a writer development agency in the UK, and the Poetry Africa Festival in Durban in South Africa, who are collaborating on a series of online networking, writer development and showcasing days, which are celebrating new writing by women in the UK and South Africa. So it's sort of a medium-sized project that's all about making new connections. And then finally, under the new art co-creation strand, which is the largest grant that's available, here we're, again, as Eduardo said, we're looking for artists or organizations who already have established partnerships where they want to create a larger piece of work or a larger sort of output from their art. And as I said, because these are larger grants, I think we're looking there for people who already have connections and experience of working internationally. An example there from our work in the region recently is a project called SOTI, which was a new zine of East African writing and art. And it was a 3-way collaboration by a lead partner, a writer here in the UK, working with artists and writers in Sudan and Tanzania. And it involved things like writing workshops. It involved a poetry competition for writers from those 3 countries, and then it all came together in a final zine, which was published and shared in those 3 countries. There are more examples of the kind of thing that we've done on the call website, so do have a look there. But I think, as I say, there are a lot of options and opportunities for if you're a UK arts organisation or artist who's keen to connect with the continent. I'll now hand over to my colleague Natasha, who's from our office at British Council in Wales.
Thanks, Matt. Hi everyone, I'm Natasha, I'm the Head of Arts in Wales. It's really great to be here and to have the opportunity to talk to you all and have that kind of perspective of working in the UK but not within London or with England. We have teams in Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland and in England as well, working to make sure that all of the work we do in British Council reaches and engages with organisations and artists from across the UK, from the little islands in Anglesey to the big cities. What I'll do is really follow on from what Matt was saying about the types of projects and what really we'll be looking for in the different strands. Interestingly enough, in Wales, we ran a pilot programme at the beginning of this year, which connected organisations and artists from Wales to Sub-Saharan Africa. And we funded 12 projects to do very, very similar to the new creation, New Connections grant, where we were really looking to support organisations who hadn't worked together before to connect digitally and to explore ways that they could work and speak and work together virtually, and also to create digital work. And alongside that, we did some research into digital work that already existed between Sub-Saharan Africa and Wales, which really did turn into a kind of wider look at this process of working digitally and the do's and don'ts, things people have learned along the way, and we'll make sure that that research is available to anybody who wants to use it through our website. But the reason I mention it today is because given the situation that everybody globally is still facing with international travel restrictions, with COVID restrictions locally, we do make sure that you read the frequently asked questions on the website, which does detail what kind of costs the grants will cover. And so, for example, international travel costs aren't really going to be looked at in the grants. We really are looking for projects that are taking the kind of current situations into account. I think in the collaborative art making grants, we will be looking for some international. We will be allowing some international travel costs to be considered in budgets, but really do look at that, and that goes back to what we found out in the research. So the way of working digitally is obviously very new to us still. We've only been doing it for kind of 18 months. And building that new process into your activities, into your projects, is really, really useful from the start. And understanding really that the costs of connecting digitally might be cheaper in the initial stages, but that creating digital work and digital activity can often come with costs that you haven't really foreseen. That could include security costs, internet stability costs, all those skills and the knowledge that it takes to produce, digital content. Really do make sure that you're thinking about that when you're thinking about your activity plan. And one really interesting thing that came up in our research was how organisations and artists are now looking at digital as a new kind of art form. So we're not looking at projects that are just simply performed and then filmed and streamed online. They are looking at the ways of making art digitally and using that digital and virtual technology to create completely new pieces of work, which is really interesting and really innovative. And I think that's going to be something that we'll really look forward to seeing in the applications that we get. From the UK, from the devolved nations perspective, we know that there's a thirst in Wales. We found that out when we launched our Go Digital programme earlier in 2021. And I'm absolutely sure it's the same in Scotland and in Northern Ireland, that there is a hunger, there is a thirst for that kind of knowledge, that skill sharing, and being able to collaborate with partners across the world, but not have that environmental impact or not the same environmental impact. So we really do encourage organisations and artists from across the UK, no matter where you are, no matter if you're a big company, if you're one of the national companies, if you're an individual artist, if you're a small grassroots artist or organisation, please do have a look at the guidelines, have a look at the website, and have a think about the types of projects that you're doing already, the types of projects that you want to be doing, and the partners that you might want to engage with. And it's a really exciting opportunity. So I hope everyone does take advantage of it to the best of their ability. I'll stop there and hand back over to my colleague in West Africa, Oyinda.
Thanks, Natasha. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name's Oyinda Fakir, and I'm joining you, as Natasha said, from Lagos. I am the West Africa Arts Consultant. And I'm going to be introducing the Creative Enterprise e-learning platform, which is in partnership with Microsoft. And we will be launching this in September this year. And the program has really been designed as a suite of digital courses for young people looking to develop careers or businesses in the creative economy sector across target countries in Africa. And we have designed 4 courses, the first of which is a basic course called Launching Your Creative Enterprise. And it is really for aspiring entrepreneurs. So whether you have an idea or not, this course will help you to bring your idea to life. It will give you an introduction into the African creative economy, thinking about finding the right people, branding and marketing your business. And the course is approximately 5 hours of content with a further 12 hours of self-directed learning. And we see that course sort of as a recommended prerequisite for the intermediate Growing Your Creative Enterprise course. Which is for early stage entrepreneurs. So those are people who already have an idea and they're between 0 to 3 years in business. And the course is really designed to provide entrepreneurship strategies. So that's personal and business growth strategies. When you're thinking about building and leading teams and raising capital for your business. It also gives you insight into how to promote and pitch your business. And that's the intermediate, the first of our 3 intermediate courses. The second of which is our social impact through entrepreneurship e-learning, is really about thinking about how your business can impact your nation, your communities. And the course is designed to work across the whole scope from for-profit to not-for-profit. And really take into consideration inclusion, sustainability, values, and ethics, and also how you can raise finance for this type of business. The course is approximately 7 hours of content, and then you will have a further 17 hours of self-directed coursework. And the last of the courses is our Creative Economy Policy course, and its policy is something that we're very excited to be focusing on as we continue working within the creative economy, and we recognize that in order to enable businesses to thrive, there really needs to be an inclusion of policy. And so this course really provides a refresher for emerging and young policymakers, while also giving them an understanding of the creative economy and how it fits into sustainable development and strengthening, the countries that we're operating with. And the course is approximately 5 hours of content with another 12 hours of self-directed course. To say that these courses really form the base or the prerequisite for the courses that my colleague Rashida was talking about in the creative economy sector of our operations. So what we've done is design these courses to actually open up more opportunities for you and to make sure that you already have a good basic level of understanding of creative business before going into much more in-depth one-on-one mentoring and some of our more specific enterprise related courses. We are launching in September, as I said. We will also be sharing a link for those looking to pre-register for that. And you can pre-register from now till the courses go live, so you can be first to hear about our courses, and you will receive a certificate for participation from British Council. And as mentioned, that will open up to further opportunities within the creative economy and enterprise work that we do. I think from here, I'm going to pass back over to South Africa to Grace.
I mean, Eduardo, Rashida, Sandra, Matt, Natasha, Oyinda, thank you so much for that really outline of your programs. And it's just wonderful. It reminds me that, we've been to Southern, East, West Africa, and the UK. So it's really just just wonderful to be mindful of that really rich and diverse network that we have at British Council, as well as to be part of this team of really dynamic colleagues. Thank you very much. And I mean, I know we have a few minutes left of this webinar. I really wanted to go into some questions, and I think maybe I'm going to try and bunch these together so that we kind of move along quickly, and maybe starting with you, Eduardo. So part of what Sandra was, part of what Rashida was outlining in the Creative Economy program was that as soon as it launches, there will be some brokering opportunities between partners. This question is specifically for art making, new art and co-creation grant is really looking at the possibility of brokering partnerships, or would participants sending in proposals need to come with existing partners?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a bit of a complicated one. Yes, this is the usual kind of question. So for something like new connections, that's something that does not require an existing partnership or existing proof of project. That's something where, for example, if you always wanted to work with another partner, go for it. For the research also, it's a similar thing. You don't need to have existing partnerships. That grant is really there for you to go find them, go do that research, speak to the people that you need to speak to, really kind of dig into finding those networks. For the new art co-creation, that is slightly different. And because of the size of the grant, it's not that we are looking for you to have done an exactly similar project before, but we do need to have some idea that you've been able to deliver projects at a level like this, or that you could successfully manage a project of that size. So yeah, you don't need to have, proven a certain project. In fact, we are really looking for those new connections, like partners that have never managed to work together before. So I hope that answers your question. It could be a very complex answer, but yeah, on the kind of simple levels, new connections, yeah, we're really looking for new partnerships to emerge from these grant funding. Yeah.
Thank you, Eduardo. And if we can stay with you, and again, bunching the questions together, there's questions with relations to eligibility. I know we got a question asking about Mauritius, and it was great that Sandra really outlined Mauritius's role in Agile. So perhaps to that person, please to have a look at that. Also, to stay in the cultural exchange work, what are we saying about applying for more than one category? Is that possible? And also another one, and this really looks at eligibility of countries, another note to have a look at the eligibility criteria is, this comes from a South African living in Reunion Island and wanting to know if they can produce work with partners in the UK to be produced online, speaking to Natasha's point about digital art.
Yeah, so maybe, I mean, in terms of, is it possible to submit in more than one category? Absolutely. I mean, we always get this question. My answer would be to focus on what you think is going to be selected, because, again, if you're applying for the large grant and 700 other people apply for the large grant, it's going to be very unlikely, unless your project is absolutely brilliant, that it's going to be selected. So I would say the answer is yes, but should you? The answer to that is no. You should really try and focus on the one you think is super exciting and will be selected. Yeah. And then in terms of countries, so that's a bit of a complex one. Someone who's stuck in Reunion but is a South African resident. This does apply in the FAQs. We're quite clear that you must be a resident of the country from which you are applying from. So also, let's say, for example, you're a Dutch artist living in South Africa, you cannot apply for the funding. You must be a legal resident of the country. Because this funding comes through ODA funding, it's a legal requirement that the people benefiting from this funding must be crossing the UK and Sub-Saharan Africa. So you wouldn't be eligible if you were, an international artist happening to be living in Kenya. That wouldn't be the case. Yeah, that's if you're an individual. If you're in an organization and your organization affects in the majority young people from 18 to 35-year-old in Kenya, that is different. Then the organization which is based in Kenya would be eligible, but also that organization would have to be legally registered in Kenya. Yeah.
Thank you for that question, Katie. Also coming up, what happens if you've been funded by British Council before? Is there room to reapply for different opportunities? From Kwesi.
So the answer is yes, you can definitely apply. What you cannot apply for is if it's, let's say you have an existing project that's funded by the British Council, you cannot apply for additional funding for an existing project that was already carrying funding. So a thing that we don't do at the British Council is we don't ever double fund projects. Yeah.
Thanks for that. I hope that's clear. We've also got some questions around existing projects, and thank you, Matt and Natasha, for looking at some of the examples of projects that have received funding before. And I know that we have some case studies in our Arts Opportunities page. Maybe moving to creative economy, there is a question around some of the funding opportunities, maybe crossing over to Rashida. The question is around how much are the amounts coming on? So perhaps to iterate, what are the plans for Intend? Rashida?
So we have a range of scales of budget opportunities across the 8 Sub-Saharan Africa countries that we're inviting to individual and organizations to apply for. The scales range between £50,000 to £400,000, and within the suite of support that we're looking for in terms of the delivery scale of work, that gives an idea of the amounts, and it differs between each country. So when you see on the microsite through Intend, it will detail the budget amounts per country that is available. But the range is between 50,000 to 400,000, and therefore organizations and individuals who are interested in applying will be able to gauge the scale of what we're asking for within that. It's based on the specific country requirements that our programming team have identified they are looking for in terms of the business support that we wish to identify to support young people across Sub-Saharan Africa.
That's awesome. Thanks, Rashida. And I think just another message to encourage everybody to really keep it glued onto the site. So we're going to be updating regularly. We have an SSA newsletter that goes out monthly. The next one due will be in October. We've got, as mentioned before, frequently asked questions that are around for you to really look at all of the questions that maybe will come up at a later stage. If there's anything that hasn't been answered or really clearly articulated, then absolutely let us know and we can update that as those questions come in. It has been such a pleasure. I want to open up this to my colleagues to find out if there's anything anybody would like to add. We do have one more question coming in around partnering with heritage institutions in the UK and Kenya for the creation of art. So who would be the best person to submit their application to? So staying in East Africa and Kenya. Sandra, would you like to take the question with regards to heritage and artwork?
So I was just rereading the question. Heritage work between the UK and Kenya. We have a cultural protection and a cultural heritage fund that we have worked with in the recent past. Both those funds are not running live at the moment, but we expect that in the next financial year, so 2022 into 2023, we will see more opportunities for collaboration between the UK and Kenya through heritage work. But I would like to insist that the opportunity through ACP-EU Ignite Culture, heritage is one of the areas that we are working in. So you would be able to apply, but with the lead partner having the right to work and have a legal entity in Kenya, for example, with the majority of the action of the activity happening in Kenya. So you would be eligible to look at that and see whether the opportunity works for you.
Thanks for that. Is that your hand up, Eduardo? Please go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to add, because Sherry, who had originally asked the question, has added to say that this is in relation to the New Connections grant. So it might be really important here to mention that with all applications, I mean, we're a cultural relations organization, so it's really important to note there is zero preference if the lead partner is UK or the co-lead partner is UK or the other way around. We're all about the ideas. It's about, is the idea and the project and the partnership amazing? It's not about whether the UK partner applies or the Sub-Saharan Africa partner applies. So yeah, just thought I'd add that. And then there's also one more question around if there's a directory of creative organizations.
Yeah, I think this one comes from the UK, and maybe we can throw it to you, Matt, really asking, is there an existing network that people can access to really map out creative professionals doing active work presently?
We don't have it's a good question. We don't have a single database or network as such. However, what I would suggest is that if you're looking to connect with a particular partner or artist in a certain artistic discipline in the UK, do take a look at the British Council's art form website. So each of our in the UK, our arts department is split into different art forms, things like music, film, literature, where I'm from, and others. And on our website, we each have our own websites, and on those you'll find examples of the kind of projects we've done in the past. And that might be a really good starting place for seeing some examples of creative organizations and artists in the UK who you could reach out to or just look up online. We often work with sort of big events in the UK, such as the Edinburgh festivals or other festivals, which are great places where you can find out more about creative partners in the UK. So I'd suggest, starting with the British Council's websites for your artistic discipline. If you just Google British Council Film or British Council Music, you can see some of the kind of partners that we work with in the UK recently, and so hopefully that should give you something of an idea of what artistic partners there are to connect with.
Fantastic. That's clear, Matt. Thank you very much. I know in Southern Africa, we did quite extensive mapping in Hub's work. So I think all of those resources should be available online and also to be accessed as and when you go through all of the material that is online presently, all of the information that has had and being explained in this Power Hour. Thank you so much, everybody, for really sharing and being explicit. Thank you for the questions and the interests. What's left to say, but we look very forward to seeing the proposals coming in to really engage with some exciting work that's happening in all areas of the creative economy, art making, research, and cultural exchange. We look very forward to seeing that. Deadlines again, and these are very important. End of play working day on the 8th of September for cultural exchange. Thank you, Rashida, for letting us know that that creative economy opportunities will be posted soon. And please keep in contact and let us know how you are faring. And if there are any questions, of course, please reach out. It has been such a great hour. We are out of time. This again will be recorded. This has been recorded and will be placed on the Opportunities website for you to come in and engage at a later time. And best of luck, everybody. I think a lot of people have been reaching out, expressing great interest, and we're hoping that we can engage in the support and engage with you all, if not now, at some point. So thank you all for joining. Goodbye.